I'm sitting in Donny's garage watching him slide out from under my wife's BMW like some grease-covered prophet of doom. 20 years I've known this guy, and I've never seen him look this uncomfortable. He's got that expression mechanics get when they're about to tell you your transmission just became a very expensive paperweight. "Jake, we need to talk," he says, wiping his hands on a rag that's seen better decades. The garage smells like motor oil and broken dreams. Outside, the Rust Belt city sprawls in all its post-industrial glory, abandoned factories standing like tombstones against a gray October sky. This place used to build things that mattered. Now, it builds secrets and betrayals. "What's wrong with the car?" I ask, though something in his voice tells me this isn't about brake pads. Donny glances toward the office, then back at me. "It ain't the car, Jake. It's what I found in it." He leads me to his cluttered desk, moves aside a stack of invoices, and pulls out a manila envelope. Inside are photographs, grainy, but clear enough to make my stomach drop through the concrete floor. My wife Jennifer, locked in an embrace with a man I recognize from the local news. Carlo Benedetti, the kind of guy who owns nightclubs and somehow never seems to work, but always has money. The kind of guy mothers warn their daughters about, and wives apparently seek out. "There's more," Donny says, sliding a flash drive across the desk. "Found this taped under her seat. Figured you should see it before anyone else." I pocket the drive without looking at it. Some things you need to process in private, like a cancer diagnosis, or the discovery that your 15-year marriage is apparently a sideshow. "How long have you known?" I ask. "Just found out today when I was fixing her seat adjustment." "Jake, I'm sorry, man. I really am." My phone buzzes. Text from Jennifer. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I show Donny the screen. He shakes his head. "She's not at work," he says. "Saw her heading toward the Riverside district an hour ago. That's where Benedetti's club is." I thank Donny and drive home through streets that suddenly feel foreign. Our house sits in what Jennifer calls the nice part of town, a subdivision built when the city still had hope. Now it's just expensive denial surrounded by urban decay. Inside, everything looks the same but feels different, like walking through a movie set of your own life. I pour myself 3 fingers of bourbon and fire up Jennifer's laptop. She never was good with passwords, still uses our anniversary date, which now seems like cosmic irony. Her email tells the story in painful detail. Months of messages to Carlo, arrangements for meetings, complaints about her boring husband who doesn't understand her needs. There are photos I wish I could unsee, plans I wish I couldn't understand. The worst part isn't the betrayal, it's the contempt. She writes about me like I'm some pathetic obstacle to her real life. "Jake's so clueless," she tells Carlo. "He actually thinks I'm at book club." Book club. I remember buying her those novels she claimed to be discussing. Apparently the only thing she was reading was text messages from her criminal boyfriend. I'm still scrolling through the evidence when I hear her car in the driveway. Quickly, I close the laptop and position myself in my chair with a beer, playing the role of the clueless husband she thinks I am. Jennifer walks in looking like she's been to war. Lipstick smudged, hair disheveled, that particular glow that comes from activities that definitely weren't covered in any book club I know about. "Hey, honey," she says, not quite meeting my eyes. "How was your day?" "Oh, you know, same old routine. Fixed Mrs. Patterson's security system, picked up your car from Donny's. Nothing exciting." She freezes for just a moment. "What was wrong with the car?" "Just routine maintenance. Donny said everything looked good." I take a sip of beer, watching her carefully. "How was book club?" "Fine. We discussed the new thriller everyone's reading. You wouldn't like it. Too much drama." The irony is so thick I could cut it with a butter knife. "What's it about?" I ask. "Oh, just betrayal and revenge. Pretty predictable stuff." She heads upstairs for a shower. To wash off the evidence, I assume. I sit there, listening to the water run, thinking about the flash drive in my pocket and the choice I'm about to make. 20 years in private security teaches you things about people. How they hide secrets, how they reveal lies, how they underestimate the quiet guy who fixes their problems and fades into the background. Jennifer always saw me as her stable, predictable husband, the guy who pays the bills and doesn't ask too many questions. She's about to discover she married someone else entirely. I pull out my phone and scroll through my contacts. Some numbers I haven't called in years, but certain friendships never really end. They just wait for the right emergency. Tonight feels like an emergency. The first call goes to Rick Morrison, my old army buddy who now runs a private investigation firm downtown. We served together in Afghanistan, and he owes me more favors than either of us can count. "Jake? What's wrong, man? You never call this late." "I need help, Rick. The kind of help that stays between us." "What kind of trouble are we talking about?" I look up at the ceiling, where I can still hear Jennifer moving around. The kind where I need to know everything about someone, and I need to know it fast. "Send me the details. I'll start tonight." The second call is to Tommy Chen, who runs a small electronics business that specializes in security equipment. Tommy's the kind of guy who can find surveillance solutions for problems you didn't know you had. "Jake, long time, buddy. What can I do for you?" "I need to upgrade my home security system. Something comprehensive. Something that captures everything." "Everything?" "Every conversation, every visitor, every moment someone thinks they're alone in my house." Tommy's quiet for a moment. "You sure about this path, Jake? Sometimes you learn things you can't unlearn." I'm already past that point. By the time Jennifer comes downstairs in her robe, hair wrapped in a towel, I've made 6 phone calls and set 3 appointments. She curls up next to me on the couch like nothing's changed, like she's still the woman I married instead of a stranger wearing my wife's face. "What are you watching?" she asks. "Just the news. Same old stuff. Crime, corruption, people thinking they're smarter than they actually are." She shifts uncomfortably. "Maybe we should watch something lighter." "No, I find it fascinating. Amazing how people convince themselves they won't get caught." My phone buzzes with a text from Rick. "Found some interesting connections. We need to meet tomorrow." Jennifer glances at the phone. "Work?" "Just a client. Nothing that can't wait." But it can't wait. None of this can wait. Because tomorrow I start evening the score with people who made the mistake of underestimating the wrong man. Jennifer falls asleep against my shoulder, and I sit there in the dark, planning the systematic destruction of her new life. She wanted drama and excitement. She's about to get more than she bargained for. The quiet husband is done being quiet. Rick's office sits above a pawn shop in the part of downtown where honest businesses go to retire. The stairs creak like they're announcing visitors, and the waiting room looks like it was decorated by someone who gave up on life around 1987. But Rick's good at what he does, and right now, that's all that matters. "You look terrible," he says when I walk in. "Thanks. That's exactly what I needed to hear." Rick's got that weathered look of a guy who's seen too much and slept too little. Military bearing, but softened by civilian years and too much coffee. He gestures to a chair across from his desk, which is covered in file folders and empty energy drink cans. "So, Carlo Benedetti," he says, opening a thick folder. "Your wife's got expensive taste in criminals. Tell me something I don't know." He's not just some small-time operator, Jake. Guy runs half the underground business in this city. Gambling, smuggling, protection rackets, the whole menu, and he's smart about it, never gets his hands dirty directly. Rick slides a series of photographs across the desk. Carlo at various locations around the city, always surrounded by well-dressed men, who look like they bench press small cars for fun. Here's the interesting part, Rick continues. Your wife's been spotted at his club regularly for about 4 months. But it's not just romantic. She's been handling some of his legitimate business interests. Real estate transactions, investment accounts. Girl's got her fingers deep in his operation. That explains the unexplained cash I'd been noticing. Jennifer always claimed it was bonuses from her marketing job, but marketing coordinators don't usually get bonuses that require safety deposit boxes. There's more, Rick says, his expression getting darker. Benedetti's got a reputation for being possessive. The last guy who got involved with one of his women ended up relocating to another state very suddenly. No violence, just economic pressure that made staying in town impossible. He threatened the guy? Didn't have to. Made him unemployable, got his landlord to evict him, convinced his bank to call in his loans. Guy was destroyed financially and socially within a month. I lean back in the chair, processing this. So, Jennifer's not just cheating. She's partnered with a guy who specializes in ruining lives. That's about the size of it. Rick pulls out another folder. Now, here's what I found about your wife's activities. She's been using her marketing background to help legitimize some of Benedetti's businesses, creating websites, handling social media, making his operations look respectable. She's not just sleeping with the guy, she's working for him. The betrayal keeps getting deeper. It's not just personal anymore. It's professional, financial, maybe even criminal. I need more, I tell Rick. I need to know everything about both of them. Schedules, habits, weaknesses, pressure points. Jake, what are you planning here? I'm planning to remind some people that actions have consequences. Rick studies my face for a long moment. You sure you want to go down this road? Guy like Benedetti, he's got resources. And your wife, if she's as involved as it looks, she's not going to just roll over when you make your move. Let me worry about that. I spend the next hour reviewing Rick's files, memorizing details, building a mental map of my targets' lives. By the time I leave his office, I know Carlo's favorite restaurants, his gym schedule, his business meetings, and his weaknesses. The man likes expensive cars, imported cigars, and being seen as untouchable. All of those things can be used against him. My next stop is Tommy's electronics shop, which looks like a Radio Shack had a baby with a spy movie. Tommy's behind the counter, working on something that involves way too many wires and blinking lights. Jake, perfect timing. I've got your shopping list ready. He leads me to a back room filled with equipment that probably isn't available at Best Buy. Cameras smaller than buttons, recording devices that look like everyday objects, tracking equipment that would make the NSA jealous. This is what you need for comprehensive home monitoring, Tommy says, laying out devices on a workbench. Cameras, audio pickups, motion sensors, everything wireless, everything encrypted, everything feeding to a secure server only you can access. How long to install? Give me 4 hours when the house is empty. I'll make it look like a routine security upgrade. And this? I point to a small device that looks like a phone charger. GPS tracker. Stick it in a car, purse, briefcase, anywhere you need to know someone's location. Battery lasts 2 weeks, updates every 30 seconds. Perfect. I arrange for Tommy to install the home system tomorrow while Jennifer's at work. Then I drive across town to Benedetti's nightclub, a flashy place called Prestige that screams money and poor taste in equal measure. The parking lot is full of expensive cars trying too hard to impress people who aren't looking. I park across the street and wait, using surveillance techniques that feel rusty, but still work. After an hour, I spot Jennifer's BMW pulling up to the valet stand. She gets out wearing a dress I've never seen before, something that probably cost more than most people's rent. The valet treats her like a regular, which confirms Rick's timeline. She's been doing this for months. Carlo meets her at the entrance. He's exactly what I expected. Expensive suit, gold jewelry, the kind of confidence that comes from never facing real consequences. They embrace like lovers, then disappear inside. I wait another hour, taking photos with a telephoto lens, documenting everything. When they emerge, Carlo's hands are all over her, and Jennifer's laughing like she's having the time of her life. They get into his Maserati and drive toward the expensive part of town. Following them requires skills I haven't used since my military days, but muscle memory kicks in. Stay back, vary your distance, use other traffic as cover. They end up at a luxury condo building downtown, Carlo's place, according to Rick's files. I park where I can watch the building entrance and settle in for a long wait. 3 hours later, Jennifer emerges alone, hair messed up, lipstick gone, looking satisfied with herself. She gets in her car and drives home, probably planning to tell me about another late night at the office. But I'm not ready to go home yet. I drive to the 24-hour diner on 5th Street and order coffee that tastes like it was brewed during the previous administration. The place is full of night shift workers and people with nowhere else to go. My kind of crowd right now. I pull out my phone and start making calls. First, to a guy named Dave who runs a small newspaper that specializes in local gossip and scandal. Dave owes me a favor from when I helped him with a stalker problem. Jake, what's got you calling at this hour? I've got a story for you, Dave. The kind that sells papers and ruins reputations. I'm listening. Carlo Benedetti and a married woman from the suburbs. Photos, documentation, the whole package. Interested? Are you kidding? That guy's been untouchable for years. When can you get me the material? Soon. Very soon. Next, I call Jennifer's boss at the marketing firm. Margaret's a straight-laced woman who takes professional ethics seriously. The kind of person who would be very interested to know one of her employees is moonlighting for local criminals. Margaret, this is Jake. I'm sorry to call so late, but I thought you should know about something involving Jennifer. Is she all right? She's fine, but there's a situation you should be aware of. Can we meet tomorrow? By the time I get home, it's almost 3 a.m. Jennifer's asleep, probably dreaming about her exciting double life. I sit in my home office, reviewing everything I've learned, planning my next moves. The beautiful thing about being underestimated is that people don't see you coming until it's too late. Jennifer thinks she's married to a boring security consultant who doesn't pay attention. Carlo thinks he's untouchable because he's always been untouchable. They're both about to learn that the quiet guy in the background has been paying attention to everything, and he's got skills they never bothered to notice. Tomorrow, the real work begins. The next morning, Jennifer leaves for work like nothing happened, kissing me goodbye with lips that were on another man 12 hours ago. I watch her drive away, then call in sick to my own job. Today is going to require my full attention. Tommy arrives at 9 sharp with a van full of equipment and a work order that makes this look like a routine security upgrade. By noon, my house is wired better than a government safe house. Every room, every entrance, every conversation will be recorded and stored on a secure server only I can access. You'll know everything that happens in this house, Tommy says, showing me the control app on my phone. Audio, video, motion detection, the works. And Jake, be careful with this stuff. Once you start watching, it changes you. Too late for that warning, but I appreciate the sentiment. My meeting with Margaret, Jennifer's boss, goes exactly as planned. I show her selected photos of Jennifer with Carlo, explain the connection to his business operations, and watch her professional demeanor shift from concern to outrage. Jennifer's been using company resources for this? Margaret asks, studying the evidence. Company laptop, company time, company connections. She's been building websites and marketing materials for Benedetti's operations during business hours. Margaret's the kind of woman who built her firm on reputation and integrity. Having an employee moonlight for criminals isn't just a personnel problem, it's a liability that could destroy her business. I'll handle this internally, she says. But Jake, I have to ask, what do you want out of this? I want my wife to face consequences for her choices. All of them. That afternoon, I get a call from Rick. He sounds troubled. Jake, we need to talk. In person. And not at my office. We meet at the old boxing gym where we used to train after getting out of the army. The place smells like sweat and determination, full of guys trying to punch their way past their problems. Rick looks nervous, which isn't like him. I've been asking around about Benedetti, he says, and some interesting information came back. About you. What kind of information? The kind that suggests someone's been feeding Benedetti details about your investigation. The words hit me like a physical blow. What are you saying? I'm saying someone who knows what you're doing has been talking to the wrong people. Someone close to you. Rick pulls out his phone and shows me a text message. The husband knows. He's got photos and files. Might want to have a conversation with him. Who sent this? That's what we need to figure out. But Jake, whoever it is, has access to information that only a few people know. People you trust. The list of people who know about my investigation is very short. Rick, Tommy, Dave from the newspaper, Margaret. And one other person I called yesterday for advice. My old army buddy Mike, who now works private security in the city. Mike, I say. I told Mike what I was doing. Rick's expression confirms my suspicion. Mike's been doing some work for Benedetti lately. Security consulting for his legitimate businesses. The betrayal hits deeper than Jennifer's affair. Mike and I served together, saved each other's lives, stood up at each other's weddings. If he's feeding information to Benedetti, then I've been naive about more than just my marriage. What do you want to do? Rick asks. I want to confirm it, and then I want to use it. We spent an hour planning a trap. I'll call Mike, tell him I'm backing off the investigation, that Jennifer and I are working things out. If Mike's the leak, he'll pass that information along, and Benedetti will relax his guard. But first, I need to test the theory. I call Mike from the gym parking lot, putting the phone on speaker so Rick can hear. Mike, it's Jake. I wanted to thank you for the advice yesterday. No problem, buddy. How's the situation developing? Actually, I think I'm going to let it go. Jennifer and I had a long talk, and we're going to try counseling. Sometimes these things work themselves out. There's a pause, just a fraction too long. That's probably smart, Jake. Marriage is complicated. No point making things worse. Yeah, you're right. I'm destroying all the evidence I collected. Fresh start and all that. Good thinking. Let me know if you need anything else. After I hang up, Rick and I sit in silence for a moment. He's going to make a call within the next hour, Rick says. How can you be sure? Because if I were working for Benedetti and just heard that the threat was neutralized, I'd want to collect my fee as quickly as possible. Rick's right. 45 minutes later, his surveillance equipment picks up Mike, making a call to a number registered to one of Benedetti's businesses. We can't hear the conversation, but the timing tells us everything we need to know. That evening, I'm home when Jennifer returns from work. She looks shaken, probably because Margaret had that promised conversation about professional ethics and criminal associations, but she's trying to hide it, putting on her normal wife act. How was your day? She asks, but her voice sounds strained. Quiet. Did some work around the house, caught up on some reading, you look tired. Just a long day at the office. Margaret's been in a mood lately. I'll bet she has. Maybe you should take some time off, I suggest. You've been working so many late nights lately. Jennifer's face goes through several expressions before settling on forced calm. Actually, I might have some free time coming up. My schedule's about to change. Translation. She just got fired or suspended, and she's trying to figure out how to explain it. Well, that's good. We could spend more time together. The irony isn't lost on either of us. After Jennifer goes to bed, I sit in my office reviewing the day's intelligence. Mike's betrayal, Jennifer's job situation, Margaret's cooperation, Dave's interest in the story. All the pieces are moving into position, but the most important piece is still to come. Tomorrow, I'm going to let Benedetti think he's won, that the threat has been neutralized. Then, I'm going to show him what a real threat looks like. I pull out my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find a number I haven't called in years. Eddie Torino runs a small construction company that specializes in demolition work. He's also got connections throughout the city's underground economy, the kind of connections that can make life very difficult for someone like Carlo Benedetti. Eddie, it's Jake. I need to ask you about some mutual acquaintances. Jake, how the heck are you? What kind of acquaintances? The kind that might be interested to know Carlo Benedetti's been skimming money from joint operations. There's a long pause. That's a serious accusation, Jake. It's also a provable one. Interested in the details? By the time I hang up, I've set 3 more meetings and planted seeds that will grow into major problems for Carlo within the week. The beautiful thing about criminals is that they don't trust each other. Give them a reason to doubt a partner, and they'll do most of your work for you. Jennifer thinks she's chosen the winning side by aligning with Carlo. Mike thinks he's playing it smart by working for the guy with power and money. They're both about to discover that power and money mean nothing when the foundation underneath them starts crumbling. And I'm just getting started. 3 days later, Carlo Benedetti's world starts falling apart, and he has no idea why. It begins with Eddie's crew asking uncomfortable questions about missing money from a construction project they partnered on. Then Dave's newspaper runs a front-page story about mystery woman linked to local crime figure, complete with photos of Jennifer and Carlo at his nightclub. By Thursday, 2 of Carlo's legitimate businesses are under investigation for tax irregularities that I anonymously reported to the appropriate authorities. But the real masterpiece is what happens Friday night. I'm sitting in my newly surveilled home, watching Jennifer pace around the living room like a caged animal. She lost her job Wednesday. Margaret made it clear that employees who moonlight for criminals aren't welcome at her firm. Jennifer tried to spin it as a personality conflict, but I could see the panic in her eyes. I might need to look for work in another city, she says, not quite meeting my gaze. Really? Why's that? Just better opportunities elsewhere. Maybe we should both consider a fresh start. Translation: Carlo's operation is getting too hot, and she wants to run before everything collapses. But running requires resources, and her income just disappeared. That's a big decision, I say. Maybe we should talk to a marriage counselor first. Work through our problems. The word problems makes her flinch. She knows I know, maybe not all the details, but enough to make her uncomfortable. Jake, is there something you want to say to me? Just that I love you, and I want what's best for our marriage. The surveillance equipment Tommy installed is capturing every word, every expression, every lie. I'll need that documentation later. My phone buzzes with a text from Rick. Package delivered. Check your email. The package is a video file showing Carlo in a screaming match with 2 men I recognize from Eddie's crew. They're in the parking lot behind Prestige, and Carlo's gesturing wildly while the other men stand with their arms crossed. No audio, but body language tells the story. Carlo's trying to explain something, and they're not buying it. The second video is even better. Carlo and Jennifer in his condo, having what looks like a heated argument. She's pointing at a laptop screen, he's shaking his head, and both of them look desperate. The laptop probably shows news coverage of the investigation into his businesses, or maybe the newspaper story that's making him radioactive in social circles. Saturday morning brings the phone call I've been waiting for. Jake, it's Mike. We need to talk. Sure, buddy. What's on your mind? Not over the phone. Can you meet me at the old warehouse district, near where we used to do training exercises? The location choice is interesting. Isolated, private, the kind of place where conversations don't get overheard. Mike's probably been tasked with finding out how much I really know and whether I'm still a threat. I arrive first and position myself where I can see him coming. Mike shows up in a new truck, probably paid for with Benedetti money, and he's not alone. 2 men get out with him, the kind of men who solve problems with intimidation rather than conversation. Jake, Mike calls out. Thanks for meeting me. No problem. What's so important it couldn't wait? Mike walks closer, but his companions hang back near the truck. I hear you've been asking questions around town. Questions about people you shouldn't be curious about. I don't know what you mean. Come on, Jake. We're old friends. I know you've been investigating your wife's activities, and I know you've been stirring up trouble for certain businessmen. The mask is finally coming off. Mike's not even pretending to be my friend anymore. Here's the thing, Mike continues. Some people think you should stop asking questions. They think you should focus on your own life and let other people handle theirs. And what do you think, Mike? I think you're playing a dangerous game with dangerous people. I think you should listen to good advice when it's offered. I look past Mike to his companions, then back to him. Is that a threat? It's friendly guidance from someone who cares about your well-being. The conversation continues for another 10 minutes, with Mike trying to find out what I know and what I plan to do about it. I play the role of the intimidated husband who's gotten in over his head, assuring him that I just want my life to go back to normal. But while we're talking, the recording device in my jacket is capturing everything, and the GPS tracker Rick planted on Mike's truck is documenting exactly where he goes after our meeting. He goes straight to Carlo's condo. That evening, I implement the next phase of my plan. Using information from Rick's investigation, I compile a detailed report on Carlo's business operations, legitimate and otherwise. Financial records, partnership agreements, employee information, customer lists, supplier relationships, everything someone would need to either take over his operations or destroy them completely. Then I send copies to 3 different groups of people who have reasons to be interested in Carlo's affairs. His business partners get the financial information showing discrepancies in shared accounts. His competitors get intelligence about his operations and vulnerabilities. His suppliers get evidence that he's been selling their information to rival organizations. By Sunday morning, Carlo Benedetti has more problems than he can handle, and they're all coming from different directions. His partners are demanding explanations, his competitors are moving on his territory, and his suppliers are cutting him off. Jennifer spends the weekend making phone calls and sending text messages, trying to manage a crisis that's spiraling out of control. The home surveillance system captures every conversation, every plan, every moment of panic. This is temporary, she tells Carlo during one call. We just need to lay low until things settle down. But things aren't going to settle down. They're going to get worse, much worse, because I'm not finished yet. Monday brings news that Prestige nightclub is temporarily closed due to licensing issues that arose when someone anonymously reported health code violations, fire safety problems, and suspicious financial activities to every relevant city department. Tuesday, Carlo's Maserati gets towed from a downtown parking garage after someone reports it as abandoned. The towing company finds several interesting items in the car, items that get reported to police as potential evidence of criminal activity. Wednesday, Jennifer comes home looking like she hasn't slept in days. Jake, I think we need to talk. About what? About us. About our future. About some mistakes I've made. Finally, the conversation I've been waiting for. What kind of mistakes? Jennifer sits down across from me, and for the first time in months, she looks like the woman I married instead of the stranger she became. I've been unfaithful, she says. I've been seeing someone else, and I've gotten involved in things I shouldn't have gotten involved in. How long? 4 months. Maybe 5. I don't know why I did it, Jake. I just felt like my life was boring, like I was disappearing into routine. The admission should feel like victory, but mostly it just feels sad. This woman destroyed our marriage because she was bored. Who is he? Someone you don't know. Someone I met through work. Still lying, even now. Still protecting Carlo, even though his world is collapsing around him. Jennifer, I need you to be completely honest with me about everything. She looks at me for a long moment, probably trying to figure out how much I know and how much she can get away with hiding. His name is Carlo Benedetti. He owns some businesses in town. I've been helping him with marketing work, and things got Personal. Partial truth. Better than nothing, but not nearly enough. Are you in love with him? I thought I was, but lately everything's been falling apart. His businesses are having problems, people are asking questions, and I'm starting to think I made a terrible mistake. What do you want to do about it? I want to end it. I want to try to fix our marriage, if that's possible. I want to go back to the way things were. But there's no going back. She made choices, and choices have consequences. The woman sitting across from me isn't the same person I married, and I'm not the same man she betrayed. We'll see, I tell her. These things take time. What I don't tell her is that time is the one thing she doesn't have. Because tomorrow, Carlo Benedetti is going to face the consequences of underestimating the wrong man. And Jennifer is going to learn that some mistakes can't be fixed with apologies and good intentions. The end comes on a Thursday evening in November, when the city's cold enough to make everyone hurry and dark enough to hide intentions. I've spent 2 weeks setting the stage, and now all the players are in position. Carlo's businesses are hemorrhaging money, his partners don't trust him, and his reputation is in ruins. Jennifer's unemployed, desperate, and finally starting to understand that her exciting double life has become a nightmare. Mike's caught between his loyalty to me and his financial obligations to Carlo. The final act begins with a phone call. Jake, it's Carlo Benedetti. I think we need to have a conversation. I don't think we have anything to talk about. We have plenty to talk about. Your wife, your investigation, your future in this city. Meet me at the Riverside warehouse at 8 tonight. Come alone. The warehouse is where Mike and I used to do training exercises, where he tried to intimidate me into backing down. Appropriate place for endings. I arrive early and position myself with multiple exit routes, just like the old days. At 8 sharp, 3 cars pull up. Carlo gets out of the first one, along with 2 men who look like they bench press motorcycles. Mike gets out of the second car, looking uncomfortable. Jennifer gets out of the third car, looking terrified. Jake, Carlo calls out. Thanks for coming. He's trying to project confidence, but I can see the strain around his eyes. This is a man whose world has been systematically destroyed over the past month, and he still doesn't understand how or why. Let's make this simple, Carlo continues. You've been causing problems for me and for your wife. Those problems need to stop. What problems? Don't play stupid. The newspaper stories, the business investigations, the rumors you've been spreading. You've cost me money and reputation. Jennifer steps forward. Jake, please, let's just talk about this reasonably. What's reasonable about adultery and criminal conspiracy? The words hang in the cold air like accusations. Carlo's men shift uncomfortably, and Mike looks like he wants to be anywhere else. Here's what's going to happen, Carlo says. You're going to stop your investigation, stop talking to reporters, and stop interfering in my business. In return, I'll make sure you can continue living peacefully in this city. And if I refuse? Then you'll find out how unpleasant life can become for someone who doesn't understand boundaries. I pull out my phone and show him the screen. You mean like this? The video shows Carlo and his men in the warehouse parking lot, making threats against a private citizen. It's been streaming live to a secure server, with copies automatically sent to Rick, Dave, and several other people who know how to use information effectively. Everything you've said tonight is documented, I tell him. Every threat, every admission, every moment of this conversation. Carlo's confidence cracks. You recorded this? I've recorded everything. Your relationship with my wife, your business operations, your attempts to intimidate me through Mike. All of it. I turn to Mike. Did you really think I wouldn't figure out you were feeding information to him? We served together, Mike. I know how you think, how you operate, how you betray people who trust you. Mike's face goes red. Jake, it wasn't personal. It was just business. Everything's personal when it involves family and friends. Jennifer steps between us. Stop this. All of you, just stop. This has gone too far. You're right, I tell her. It went too far the first time you met him behind my back. It went too far when you started stealing money from our accounts to fund your new lifestyle. It went too far when you brought a criminal into our marriage. I pull out a manila envelope and hand copies of documents to each of them. Financial records, photographs, recorded conversations, email transcripts, the complete record of their betrayals and crimes. Jennifer, those are copies of everything you've done over the past 5 months. Every lie, every theft, every moment you chose him over our marriage. Your lawyer's going to need them for the divorce proceedings. She opens the envelope and goes pale. Jake, how did you... I'm a security consultant. I know how to investigate people, how to gather evidence, how to document crimes. Did you think I was just going to sit quietly while you destroyed our life together? I turned to Carlo. Those documents show your financial irregularities, your tax problems, your partnership disputes, and your attempts to intimidate witnesses. The FBI's going to find them very interesting. Carlo's trying to maintain his composure, but sweat's beading on his forehead despite the cold. You don't know who you're messing with. I know exactly who I'm messing with. A small-time criminal who got too comfortable, too careless, and too confident. A man who thought he could steal another man's wife without consequences. The final envelope goes to Mike. Those are copies of your communications with Carlo, your financial records showing payments from his organization, and documentation of your attempts to obstruct my investigation. Your security license is going to be revoked, and your military pension is going to be reviewed for criminal activity. Mike opens his envelope and his shoulders slump. Jake, we can work this out. No, we can't. You made your choice when you chose money over friendship. I step back so I can see all of them clearly. Here's what's going to happen. Jennifer, you're going to move out of our house tomorrow. The divorce papers are already filed, and you're going to sign them without contest. The evidence I've gathered will ensure you get nothing from our marriage except what you brought into it. Jennifer's crying now, but I'm past caring about her tears. Carlo, your business operations in this city are finished. Your partners don't trust you, your suppliers won't work with you, and your reputation is destroyed. You can try to rebuild somewhere else, but you're done here. And Mike, your career in security is over. No one's going to hire someone who betrays clients and works for criminals. I put my phone away and look at the 3 people who thought they could outsmart me, outmaneuver me, and destroy my life without consequences. You all made the same mistake, I tell them. You underestimated the quiet guy in the background. You thought I was weak because I didn't make noise, stupid because I didn't cause drama, helpless because I didn't fight back immediately. The warehouse is silent except for the wind and Jennifer's quiet sobbing. But the quiet guy was watching everything, documenting everything, planning everything. While you were celebrating your victories, I was preparing your defeats. I walked toward my car, then turned back for one final statement. Jennifer, you wanted excitement and drama in your life. Carlo, you wanted to take things that didn't belong to you. Mike, you wanted easy money from dirty sources. I get in my car and roll down the window. Congratulations. You all got exactly what you wanted. As I drive away, I can see them in my rearview mirror. 3 people standing in an empty parking lot, holding evidence of their own destruction, finally understanding that actions have consequences and that some people shouldn't be underestimated. The quiet guy isn't quiet anymore, but he's finished talking. By next week, Jennifer will be living in a studio apartment across town, working at a job that pays half what she used to make. Carlo will be closing his remaining businesses and leaving the city to avoid further investigation. Mike will be looking for work in a different field, his reputation destroyed and his connections worthless. And I'll be starting over, older and wiser, in a house that's finally free of lies and betrayal. Sometimes the good guy doesn't win, sometimes the victim doesn't get justice. But sometimes, just sometimes, the person everyone underestimated turns out to be the most dangerous person in the room. This was one of those times.